course, my love.
Man, it's just awkward as all. It's no problem right now. We got people coming in. Hello, everybody.
Hi, guys.
It's Santa Hat Day.
Santa Hat.
You didn't know. You had no idea. We didn't tell you. We didn't give you a warning.
I mean, there's a couple of people, one of whom has just joined the chat, who know, because they also have a hat month.
Well, it's Santa Hat month. Trevor, you're not first, I'm afraid. You're like fourth. Sorry, everybody.
That's
Sorry.
okay, you guys. That's okay.
Your FDO is taking a tumble around the home front. So he is sitting very awkwardly because he pulled a hamstring. And he's trying to sit on some ice, and it's going sort of okay. Virginia, Mario, hello. Matt McRoberts, what's up? Steve Rickyberg, Jane. Oh, look at all the good people. Julie V. Press. Can't stay long. Listen to my Fitz Ray. I get you, sister. I get you.
Matt McRoberts, please, somebody send me that tree-dwelling cat picture so that I can put it on the show.
All right, guys, we've put a lot of time into our costumes today. Are you ready to see our lovely faces? All right. Here we go. It is time for lovely faces. That's off. 3, 2, 1, and hello, everybody. This is not an orange Smurf testicle on top of my head. It is a hat.
I mean, it's a white testicle. It would be like an orange outfit, like an orange jockstrap.
It looks like a Smurf hat, though.
It
right?
does look like a Smurf hat, a little bit like a Smurf hat.
No, Sean, it's not a fun injury.
No, we both have no experience with this until this one, and it sucks.
The back of my leg is real gross, real gross. But it's too close to my butt, so I can't show you the pictures. Otherwise, I would. It looks almost basically as bad as when I busted up my ribs during Siglerfest when Bruce Press saved me from diving off the back of the stage. We have quite a show for you. A lot of Siglerbrations to go on today, so we're going to get to it. Let's see. We've got to do adorations.
I think you're fantastic.
Even
with your crazy purple leg.
When we go live,
we go high.
We try to do that for every show, but we kind of forget, even though it's literally written at the top of the script. We are drinking a lovely, one of the most festive.
Oh yeah, these are so cute.
Friggin' festive Siglocktails we've ever had. Whoops.
I've got it.
Hold on. It did not work out. Hide. That also did not work out.
We'll do it this way. I'm not sure what's happening.
There we go.
Where's it? Where do I show you? This
right
one
here.
or the other one?
Oh, look at our Santa.
The Santa Clausmopolitan.
The Santa Clausmopolitan.
Which, I love to celebrate, so I'm all in if we're going to have a Santa-themed Cosmopolitan. It does look like an inverted Santa hat a little bit. It's hard to see through my glasses.
Cranberries in there. These should be M&Ms, but they're cranberries. Baby, can you eat these? Can you eat the cranberries straight up?
Yes, but they're quite bitter. I would not.
So we do every Monday. A goes through and does the Siglocktail for you at YouTube, which we also post over at scottsigler.com. Here she is in her festive Santa hat, preparing the drink for you with the recipes.
Oh, there you can see the top of the drink. Scroll down a little bit. So
Here?
In the photo, you can see the top of the drink with the cranberries floating on top.
See.
Normal Cosmo does not have ice in the glass, and it doesn't have the lime wedges used to sugar the rim, but festive.
Festive, very festive. Going back to the main camera. So you guys can look for that every Monday. It's super fun. We have the drink on Tuesday, and then we also have it on Thursday. Part of the whole celebration, something fun to do around the homestead because a lot of us are locked down. We got an emergency alert today, baby.
Yeah, we did.
Did you get one?
Yeah, we are, Sandy, you guys might have seen this in the national news. Southern California is completely locked down again. Only emergency and essential needs you go out for. So we walk the dogs. Ship back to shipping. I am shipping once a day, but my local post office has an outdoor tent with where you can drop them off. So I do that every day because it's a holiday season, and a lot of you are ordering books and T-shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
So I ship once a day in the morning when they open at 9 a.m. Come back, and we do just that. Although you did.
Yes.
So he got his crazy hamstring checked out.
I got an X-ray today. Speaking of things that we can ship, I forgot that I'm supposed to sell stuff. This shirt is available over at scottsigler.com/store. Let's take a look at it. This is the shirt of the franchise, the Texas Earthlings.
It is one of my favorite
team.
It is such a great design. It's one of my favorites. This is a Pondy. Many of our T-shirts are Pondy designs. Bobby Morin has designed a cup, I think maybe just one. And but this, I love this color combination. I also really loved the Isis Ice Storm. And I know a lot of you did too. We're working on a surprise. That won't be available probably until January, but a surprise that might have to do with that T-shirt. And Danny Baker, thank you so much. I didn't think of these as eyelashes, but yes, indeed they are. Candy cane eyelashes. Why not?
In this episode, we've got a pup date. We've got junkie pet pics. We've got junkie pics. We've got a whole passel of Siglerbrations. It's going to be super fun. But more important than any of those things, AK.
Oh, no.
What
did I do?
To what?
This is the wrong.
Ruh-roh.
This is wrong, but I'll call it up. It's fine.
Maybe you have you'll call it up?
Yeah,
All
I'll
right,
call it
cool.
up. It's no big deal.
Oh, I see. That is the
Yeah.
old one. All right, she's gonna call it up, and we'll figure it out as we go, as you haven't noticed. What's really important, ladies and gentlemen, this
and gentlemen,
prior Sunday, we launched a brand new podcast. We launched The Freaking Gangster. Yes, we did. We got too many graphics going on here. The Gangster, we launched it. It's up at scottsigler.com. It is in the iTunes feed. You can go to scottsigler.com/subscribe, and you can see all of the cool places that you can subscribe to this particular podcast. This is book 6 of the GFL series. Oh, let's see. Boy, I'm just having a devil of a time today.
You know why?
Let's do this. Why?
Because you're injured.
Oh, yeah, I'm hurt. You find your script. I'm just going to show them this. There we go. Weekly free fiction podcast. I'm super excited. It's been 5 years since we have brought The Gangster to your faces. I think that you guys, it's quite exciting to finally bring this back to you again. Let's take a look at this. Oops, Siglocktail. I'm all over the place. Good out studio.
I love this particular
live,
Siglocktail video. I look
going live.
Like I have tried the drink 16 times before I made it because the hat kept falling into my eyes and it made me blink and shine and teary and everything. But I swear I only had that one sip at the end.
So let's just talk about this moment. We are behind, of course, on getting the Gangster hardcover ebook and audiobook out to you. Steve Rickenberg is hard at work on the audiobook right now. We are closing in on delivering this, but in the interim, we're going old school Siglerism. Old school OJ. We are releasing it unabridged, serialized. 1 or 2 chapters at a time every friggin' Sunday for free. We will do that for the duration of the book. Now, if all goes well, if all goes very, very well, we'll be about 10 or 15 episodes into this. Then we'll drop the book, and then we're going to get all your monies. Going to get all your monies. Or we probably already have.
We probably have quite a lot of their monies.
We already have all of your monies. But we're very excited about this.
And if you guys are hearing our voices talk about The Gangster and you're not sure why all these delays are happening or when you can truly expect it and you want more info, go to emptyset.com. The post at the top talks all about everything that's happened to us trying to get this book out. We are progressing. We are now actively working on the ebook now that we're done with all the production. As Scott said, Iceberg is just crushing the edit of the audiobook. He made a handful of great suggestions. This week, we just did a handful of punch-ins for him. It's going to be killer, y'all. And anybody who's ever been to Siglerfest, I will also tell you he's working on a new blooper reel. So that'll be great.
Yes, I've been making many social faux pas in the booth and hitting the H. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I go right in there, tourniquet up, feed that junk right in my veins, and I just get right to
Laura
work.
readers, Scott is indeed reading The Gangster. Scott will no longer read any of his own work except for the GFL.
That's correct.
He'll narrate the rest of the GFL series, and then once that's done, our good friend Ray Porter, who you can see on this past Thursday, Sigler-in-Place, right? Or was he last Tuesday?
He was
Thursday. It was Thursday, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch that, he is a good friend of ours. He is a great narrator. He's the 2015 Audible Audiobook Narrator of the Year, and he will read the rest of Scott's books other than the GFL, if we're lucky.
Maybe tell them what they've got coming this Thursday.
Ooh, you guys. Today, we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but you guys know that Scott is a quintuple threat, right? He's a writer. He's gifted at the marketing. He's also a musician.
Yes.
And today on Spotify, the EP for his new band Superweapon dropped, and there's 4 songs, and you can go and just search Superweapon and listen to them. And on Thursday, we're going to have Sevi, the just absolutely 80s rock god guitarist from the band,
good.
Join us live so that you guys can hear him play a little bit, hear him shred a little bit, watch him, which is super fun because not everybody gets to go to a concert that Scott is playing in. So we're going to do a little bit of that. Scott will be looking just like this with a different crazy hat, probably.
Crazy hat.
And we'll have Sevi as a talking head like we do with Rob Otto, like we did with Ray Porter. But check it out, because Sevi is a really, really nice, fun guy.
Such
and
a
he's
great
an
cat.
enormously talented guitarist. So come back and see us on Thursday.
This was one of our Siglerbrations. I got ahead of it. Sorry.
Yep.
This album has all been recorded all remotely. We did not go into a studio. We've done all of our parts from home. We've written all the songs without ever being in the same room. The other person in the band is Austin Farmer, who is a local San Diego musician, a wunderkind on the keyboards. You know, he's a little bit German, I think. And it's super fun. We put this whole thing together. We mixed it. We had one song professionally mixed. I mixed the rest of it. This is my vacation project. You guys should go check it out. As a matter of fact, let's see if we can listen to just a smidgen of it right now. Hopefully this doesn't blow out ears. Let's try it. It's Christmassy. It's a bit Christmassy as far as the metal goes.
You hear the little bells at the top?
Very Ozzy. I just want to get a little Sevi on here to tease you guys. This is Severiano Wada. Goes by the name of Sevi.
If you've been to Siglerfest and you've seen Evan Diamond in the library perform, Sevi is the guitarist, or was the guitarist at the last one. And the last one, right? Just the last one.
Yes,
the year
correct.
before was John Coriana. Yeah. And yes, Dr. Nicole Gallucci, the noisy astronomer, exactly the same thing that I said. His vacation was to start from scratch. No, you guys had the songs written.
We had 3 of them written.
3 out of 4 songs written.
We'd record them and everything.
So other than the writing, they all had to record their parts. They had to do the mixes. They had to do the artwork for the cover. Scott commissioned this logo from our friend Emily Connell, who's very talented. If you guys want to see all of her art, follow What Emily Made at Instagram. She mostly does 3D felt sculptures of record albums. The May Queen from, what's the movie with the May Queen?
I don't know, babe.
It's a Jordan Peele movie. I can't remember. But go look What Emily Made. And she made the logo for him and designed a whole bunch
So we'll talk about her Thursday, too.
Yeah, we'll
Thursday's
do that
going to be an all Superweapon episode. We're going to bring Sevi on and the halfway mark. We're going to tell you, obviously, we have Facebook page, facebook.com/Superweapon Band. Look for it on Spotify. It's on iTunes. It's in the Amazon store. It's all over the place. We're going to talk about it Thursday. I'm going to geek out, have a really good time. We're going to watch Sevi shred from a distance and melt your face. Yes.
Guys, I'm so sorry to do this, but I have to ask Scott a private question.
Sure.
Wait right there.
Okay. Which one was that? Sure.
So they did all this work in the vacation week, which was 10 days, dudes. 10 days. Oh my gosh. My favorite part is the music, but my next favorite part, by just a hair's width, is their promotional band photo, which you guys will get to see and maybe see a little bit of the making of on Thursday.
Maybe we'll see how it goes. But
and again, let me remind you, yes, Midsummer, thank you. Everything was they never got together, not one time.
And
So
this is
everything
I'm writing the lyrics for the band, so it's all very sci-fi. One song is about the Bride of Frankenstein, working on a new one called Monkey's Paw, if you're familiar with that story. It's a whole new cousin of mine who's doing the singing, too. It's all very, very fun. All right, let's get back to this. Where are we supposed to be now, babe? We talked about, I got ahead of that.
Yep, I think we are.
Oh, Saturday at Stories. Jeez, oh, Pete's. Holy cats. What do we got coming up? Boom, boom, boom. Oh, my God, you guys. It's the best Christmas movie ever. Sons of bitchin'. Bumpus. We're going to watch, or you all watch. We've watched it. Watch it if you will. I'm sure you've seen it already. A Christmas Story. The end all be all of Christmas movies. There are many Christmas movies that are wonderful. Many.
Yeah.
This is the royalty of them all. We're going to have the amazing Empty Set movie maven Robert Otto on with us. He is going to break down A Christmas Story. And Rob, who actually do homework for this show, will probably have lots of information to tell you, and I will probably be astounded by the stuff that they come up with, because hopefully I'll be busy writing for Gile software.
Must be Italian.
It must be. It must be Italian. All right, so join us for that. That's coming up this Saturday, and now we're back to Siglerbrations.
Yeah.
Hit it,
so
kid.
we have a handful of Siglerbrations, not a ton. the first one was, hey, Scott dropped an album today. Scott and his band Superweapon's album dropped today, which is very fun. You can listen to it on Spotify. Just search for Superweapon and you'll find it. And then come back on Thursday. You'll learn a lot more about it. And then other than that, I had a few more, but we switched at the last minute because Sevi was supposed to join today. So I'm going to get to other Siglerbrations Thursday. If you guys have sent them in, there's a handful I know. Melissa, I will share yours and a handful of other ones. And other than that, another reminder that the week between Christmas and New Year, we will be vacationing. So we're probably going to do one sort of live thing like this, but we won't be doing 2 SIGLERinPLACEs and a Story Smack that Saturday. And we'll be, I don't know what he'll be doing, but I'll be sitting on the couch goofing off and watching Christmas movies and drinking hot chocolate. And he'll probably make a second album. I don't know.
Who knows? That could be that. Definitely could be that. Let's see. We've got to get rid of this and this and this. And now it is time, ladies and gentlemen, switch it over, transition. Oh, snap. Look at this.
I don't know what's happening.
Well, this is, we got some confusion in the script. The Siglerbration we're doing right now is that Mount Fitzroy has gone well over 50 reviews.
Yes, you guys are the best.
Number 10 in sci-fi over at audible.com. And the reviews coming in are great so far. We've had a couple of persnickities who gave it 4 stars. So even though we have 66 ratings, we are at a 4.9. If you have bought this book on Audible, please go and review it. It's wonderful. There's the man himself, Ray Porter, who has been on our show and did an amazing job. And the love coming out of this, all of these lovely, lovely reviews that people are posting. You're not supposed to read reviews as a writer, as a creator of any kind. But, every now and then you do, especially when you know you're going to get your hardcore fan base in. And just reading all of the joy and sadness that this book has brought has been wonderful. While you are there, guys, if you write a review or just check them out, you see a good review, hit that little helpful button, hit that.
Because
smack it up,
helpful.
flip it down. Oh no, because all of these things go into the algorithm for they go into the algorithm for Audible and for Amazon, and all of this stuff really matters. Sharing stuff, reviewing stuff, rating stuff. It is very, 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 very important. Very important. Mm-hmm. And okay, that is.
So now we are moving on to our sponsor for this week. As you guys know, we always pick a charity during the SIGLERinPLACE. We make a small donation. We ask you to share if you can. This week's charity is Direct Relief. Direct Relief is a nonprofit humanitarian organization. They work in all 50 states in the United States and more than 80 other countries, and their mission is to improve the health and lives of people affected by poverty or emergencies without regard to politics, religion, or ability to pay. They have been impossibly busy in 2020 because obviously the COVID pandemic is an absolute emergency, a global emergency. So if you guys have a chance to check them out, any extra spare funds to donate, we had a couple of queries this week about people who wanted to send us a Christmas present because we do this a couple of times a week, and that would be the Christmas present that we would like the most.
That's great.
Pick any of the charities that we've featured and make a small donation, and we would really appreciate it if you'd let us know you did that.
Let us know, and that's okay. So there is. Now we're flying by the seat of our pants because we had a slight snafu.
Well, now I think
we're
sort of back on track.
Are we back on track?
I don't know what you changed, unfortunately.
Dude, it's the best part of the show. It's the reason everybody tunes in. We know this is the case. We know that you guys tolerate us and find us mildly amusing. We know who you love. You love the pups. You love the pups. It's time for a pup date. Here we are.
Oh, look at that. You picked the main picture you're seeing there. Squeaky in the back is just this week celebrating 1 year post-surgery. She had surgery to repair a congenital anomaly in her knee. And that was her first day home. She had to stay in this little pen. And Reese just would not be comforted until she was inside that pen sleeping with her. She just sat outside and until she got in there. She's doing great. It was the best thing that ever happened to her. She's a totally different dog. I'm really glad that we were able to get that done for her.
It was very, very fun. So let's click that, and I click
it was
this.
very, very terrible.
And then over here, of course, is the queen of the house, the grand old dame, 7 years old now, Reese Pieces herself. Reese is going to watch over us. AK. Oh, wait a minute. Let's go to Maine. Let's get back to Maine. Look who's in the house. What's up?
Squeaky.
She got a little empty tattoo on her belly. I think we.
Yeah, you can see it right there, sort of, but you can't really see it.
That is literally an empty set tattoo. That is there because she got neutered, spayed or neutered, spayed. Yeah. But we didn't know, and of course we both have our empty set tattoos. And this dog comes home, we're hanging out, and I'm like petting the dog. I'm like, did you get a tattoo on this dog? She's like, what are you talking about? Like, so she's meant to be with us because she has an empty tattoo on her belly before we even got her. But you know what? Hey, you know what's even more important than our pups?
The up down. Oh yeah, everybody else. Oh, come on.
Who are these guys?
These let me see. Do I know their names? No, this is the family. This is the Altman family, and I don't know their names. But every time that a new GFL book comes, they take a picture with their pups. The pups don't speak English, so they don't seem very interested in the champion. But I do love the photo.
We've had a number of pictures of books, GFL books, that have been eaten by dogs. So these two are very well behaved.
Yeah. Oh, Kim. I hope Kim is in the chat. Hang on.
Kim's in the chat room. Yes.
This is Kim Hansen's beautiful dog. This is such a sweet story. This is Enzel. He's a Boston Terrier Chow Chow Border Collie mix. He was confiscated by animal control from a rural area in California where he was caught with a pack of dogs chasing goats. His owner had quit feeding them, and they were trying to survive. He was on death row because... Yeah,
he was trying to bring down a goat and eat it.
And in I'm guessing this is in in the county where he lives. They get put on death row and are unadoptable because they threaten livestock, and that's what was happening because they were trying to survive. So Kim took him as a foster, but fell in love with him, and foster failed. There were many different breeds of dog on that property, and when Kim did the genetic testing, it confirmed the breeds of his parents were Boston Terrier, Chow Chow, and Border Collie. Here's my favorite part of her email. He still acts like he a little dog, but is 50 pounds. He's always cold and loves the wood stove heat. Dude, I think that is actually me.
I think that dog...
I act like I'm little, but I'm really 50 pounds. You know,
that dog needs a pipe in his mouth and to be on the set of My Three Sons. Look at him just chilling in his sweater by the fire. Either that or on the Actors Studio, maybe.
The Actors Studio.
Your fire is magnificent. You are a delight. And then who's next? What do we got here?
Let me see the photo and I'll tell you. Okay, so Larry Kinney, I'm not sure if you're in the chat room. I'm so glad this picture came out because it showed up so tiny in my email. These are Larry Kinney's BFFs before he met his wife. This is Sneaky on the left and Shadow on the right. He says, ferrets are the best pets. Quiet and curious like a cat, but playful and loving like a dog. My brother and his wife have had many ferrets. They have, I think, maybe don't have any anymore. I'm not so sure, but they're very pretty.
All right, who do we got next? We have...
this is Mo, and this is This is Melissa Masucci's pup, Max, and what he's doing in this photo is sleeping off his Thanksgiving dinner.
Well, I can feel that. I slept off many Thanksgiving dinners that all occurred within 2 days. I had like 8 Thanksgiving dinners. Yes.
Yeah, you did. You're a big fan of the leftover turkey sandwich.
Turkey's good. And then who do we have to close it up with?
So this is Matt McRoberts. You see why I was asking? This is Emily McGregor's Christmas cat. I don't know this cat's name, but I don't think it's Christmas. I think it's called the Christmas cat because it's in a Christmas tree. And apparently this is her
so is that cat hanging by its neck as an ornament? Is that what's happening?
I think he's on a branch.
Oh, okay. He's out on a limb, is what you're saying.
He's definitely out on a limb, just like we are most of the time.
And not only do we have lovely pet pics, junkie pet pics, we have lovely pics of junkies themselves. Oh, my God.
Now, this one, some of you guys may have seen. This is so incredibly cool. This gentleman who you see here, his name is Ben Dowell. That orbiting death tat is about 7 inches at its widest point, and it was done right there at the top of his back. Here's my favorite thing about it. He did this because he wanted his son, who was a big GFL fan, to have his name in a GFL book. And back in the day, it might still be the case that Scott will try and put, if you get a tattoo of his stuff, he'll put your name in the book. And his son's name is Dante Diner, or Diener, sorry, and because this is the tat he got, Dante Diener is on the Orbiting Death. And he shows up, I think, in the Champion in the Orbiting Death.
Now, if any of you out there, if you're out there and, oops, hold on, I go to main cam. If you're out there and you've got a tattoo, oops, here we go, one more try. If you've got a tattoo and you've sent it to me and you don't know if your name is in a book pending or you haven't seen your name in a book and you think I forgot, it's because I did. So if you've got a tattoo, send us a picture to info@emptyset of your Siglerism tattoo, and we will then coordinate with you to make sure you get into a future book at a future time. And let's go back to Junkie Picks. Boom. And then who's next?
This we saw earlier in Sigler-in-Place. We saw this same artist's rendering of Becca the Recca. This is Brendan Reeder's sketch of Anna Valani.
Very
and
cool.
at the time he
Very
realized it, he didn't realize that he somehow ascertained that he thought she had blue skin, and so he said when he sent it in, this was done before he realized that her skin was white and not blue. But I think it's pretty cool with it. You can sort of see like how if you're doing a two-dimensional thing, how do you show metal flake? And I love this skirt. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and that looks like, I'm going to guess that's the scene where they had the showdown with Jew Tweety.
Yep.
Right before Jew Tweety got busted. But that's really well done. Super, super awesome. Love it. And then we have...
This is Kim Hansen. So
that's in the background.
Yeah, isn't that fun? So I don't know exactly when this was, but it was the first time I said, like, you guys know what we look like. We're always here. And Kim is just the loveliest person, and sent an email saying, like, hey, she was the first one. So you asked to see what we look like. This is me watching you watching me. So this is pretty good. And I think that's a beautiful picture and a gorgeous woman.
Let's real quick, we're going to pop back to here so I can go to the chat. Hold on. This is important. This is very important. If I can remember where the gosh darn chat is. Boom. There it is. A couple people are asking, is the tattoo option still available? Yes, it is. One person asked, Tom Thompson asked, would a plaid tank tattoo count? Yes. Anything Siglerism related. I can no longer guarantee you what series you will show up in or what book you will show up in, but if you get a Siglerism tattoo, we are going to make sure that you get into a book. And once again, if you've already got one and I didn't put you in a book, please email info.
Yeah, and there's a ton of folks at Siglerfest now that I think about it. Mario has a tattoo. Tori has a tattoo.
I got to get on it.
That we always see, but then we're not at our desks and in that mode of receiving that information. So this is why I always say to you, the absolute no holds barred best way to reach out to Empty Set is to email. Either if you have one of our addresses, that's fine. Actually, if you have his address, send it to that and info@emptyset so I also see it. Or just send it to info@emptyset. That is hands down the best way, because I can think of several people who have tattoos who I've seen and never thought to make sure they were on the list.
And I've dropped the ball repeatedly. Yeah. Back to Junkie Pictures. Who do we got next, Sweet Pea?
Your colleague.
My colleague, Maria. Maria, there's something wrong with your ears, Maria. Something's wrong.
So Maria is, as you guys know, one of my very best friends and Scott's colleague in Limitless Horizons Limited.
That's part of the pentuple threat that I am. I am a co-founder, cult leader of Limitless Horizons Limited.
And this, she actually texted to me this morning saying that she had gotten this from her niece and nephew, and they said they wanted to see a picture of her in the socks, and she sent that and like, am I doing this right? And since I knew that we were going to be wearing these crazy, I was going to be wearing these crazy glasses, I said, send that along and I'll put it in. It's great.
Michael Grace asks, is there a Decal War Dogs t-shirt in future plans? We can't say for sure what we will and won't have. A's working on something that might be very cool for us, and we will have to find that out. So next, boom, what do we got here?
So this is, I'm just running with it because they're all so cute. This is Carol Donahue. This is back, I asked you guys to send me your Halloween pictures. This is all homemade. This is her crazy cat lady Halloween costume. And if you guys are on a mobile device and you can zoom in, you'll see she's got a cat on her bag and on her t-shirt and on her shoulder and in her pocket. And she's wearing a leopard print.
Is this from Fitzroy then? Because there's a crazy cat lady in Fitzroy.
Well, I guess
she's out of the game.
Yeah,
she's out of the game.
Absolutely.
And I think that is it. Yes, that is it.
That is it for this week. We're going to keep going through these. I have still Halloween things. I have all sorts of things. So send in any Christmas photos, anything that you would like us to celebrate and show you guys. That would be great.
All right. So, and then guys, we have a one of the diehards. Let me see if I can find. Shoot, I screwed this up. Sorry, guys. I'm busy getting x-rayed and whatnot. So let us go to This Week in Siglerism.
This Week in Siglerism.
Brought to you by John Viscara.
Big John Viscara.
Very nice, baby. Well done. Well done. All right. So This Week in Siglerism. This is over at Siglerpedia. I got 2 more emails and 2 more social media posts this week saying, gosh, I wish I could see what all the aliens look like. Most of them are on Siglerpedia. All of the connections, everything, the timelines, the GFL timelines, the galactic timeline, all kinds of stuff on Siglerpedia, including, what do we have here? This Day in Siglerism. In 2019, episode 7 of Fire is Orange posted, and the Pink Torpedo was released into the podcast feed. We don't have a page for the Pink Torpedo yet, but I wrote a story called The Pink Torpedo in Mur Lafferty's universe about a superhero who makes most of his money by logo and company endorsements on his uniform, and he gets himself into a little bit of trouble in the sexual harassment category, and he gets a new sponsor, and he has to become the Pink Torpedo. You guys have to look that up. I don't know where that's at, but we just also want to say shout out to John, who's got some stuff coming up pretty quick.
Yeah, you guys know he talks about it in Sigler Junkies. He is soon, next week, I think, undergoing some surgery to remove a little bit of cancer.
Yep. So
he's a rock star in every other regard, so I'm sure he'll be a rock star in this one too.
John's mouth doing the thing cracks me up. All right, going back to main, going back to the main camera, baby. That is.
Yeah, we're gonna do some questions. You guys have been wonderful about. Ooh, that has too much lime in it.
I see.
About sending in questions, and I tell you all the time, even if I didn't get to them right after you sent them, I keep a list so that there's always something available. So we're going to do a handful of those.
All right, you ready for everybody's friggin' favorite song in the whole world? Questions. We've got questions. We've got Tony Stark being all smarmy, and he says, that is an excellent question. And maybe you got something to ask me, because we got questions. We got questions. And Iron Man has an iron cod piece.
Hooray!
Yeah. There we go. Now I'm ready. Let's go. We got questions coming from you guys. These are in the can. We will react.
You guys certainly can ask questions
Mario.
In the chat room, too.
Mario says he freaking loves Mount Fitzroy. I'm glad because I worked hard on it. God darn it! I put in the wrench time, son. I put in the wrench time.
Many wrenches times. Many wrench times.
I use both metric and English. That's how good it was. Hit me, baby.
All right. So Clovar asks, Earth Core was how it's a little bit long, but it's worth it.
Okay.
Was how I discovered your free podcast way the hell back in 2006. One of the greatest joys as a junkie of yours has been watching your craft grow over the years. It seems everything you release gets better, more enthralling, and overall just tighter than the work before it. A few years ago, you did a massive rewrite of Earthcore, and I'm curious about the whole process. How did it feel to spend that much time reworking a novel you had worked on about 20 years prior and completed? Were there moments of, dear Lord, what the hell was I thinking? Or moments of, God damn, I'm a genius? Or, was it strange to go? And was it strange to go back and readdress what might have been considered your original work while simultaneously working on a bunch of other projects?
Shannon, the cane behind me is because I pulled a hamstring and it's very difficult to walk. In case you can't see how I'm fidgeting, it's very difficult to sit. But we will muscle through. All of those things happen with Earthcore. The majority of reading, I don't read any of my old works anymore. Because I saw a Bryan Cranston interview on Nerdist way back when, and I would obsess over, I should have done this, I should have done that, and Bryan Cranston was coming off of Breaking Bad. And in the interview, Chris Hardwick asked him, do you go back and study your old stuff? And he said, nope. Once I go in there, I give it everything I have, I become that part, and when it's done, I walk away because I know I did all I could, and he moves on to the next thing. And that was very helpful for me, so I tend to move on to the next thing. So I will have to reread stuff if I'm writing a sequel. For example, if I write Descendant, I have to go back and reread Ancestor. But by and large, I try and avoid it because it's a cesspool of beating myself up and thinking I'm not good enough because I have gotten better since I wrote that. Every book I get a little better. So Earthcore was both, the phrase Steve has to listen to all the time when editing the audiobooks is I'll be reading the book out loud and then I'll stop and look at the sentence and be like, who wrote this shit?
He just put that in the chat room, actually. He just added
and
that
I get furious because I'm like, I read this, I edited it, somebody else went over it, I read it again after somebody else went over it, and then when I say it out loud, I'm like, this is crap, this is not good enough, and I have to go out and fix it. There were also, I will admit, there were some parts of Earthcore where I was like, okay, this is pretty good. And most of the stuff that I think is pretty good is, I think things that I do well are our dialogue, short, choppy, fast dialogue, and trying to make people sound like real people on the street. I think that goes pretty good. And then some of the plot structures, when I see something that I put in as a bit of foreshadowing, and then knowing what happens at the end, I'm like, okay, great, because now I know that I've pushed a subliminal gear in your head. I've pressed a little memory button and left a little deposit there, a little bit of a rat poo. I've left a little bit of memory rat poo right there in your head. And then later on, when you see the rat, you're like subconsciously like, oh, that's right, there was that poop. That poop's in my head. And that's how you wind up having a really happy story, because I put rat poop inside your brain. So it was all over the place. Yeah, it was very difficult. A helped a lot with that.
You said rat poop, and now I forgot the thing I was going to say.
Well, as most people do.
Oh, well. I did want to say hello, Jude. My brother's in the chat room. I love you. Mario asked, have you thought about or been approached to read science books, fiction or nonfiction?
At this point, we have so many projects we have to work on with our own stuff that we are not, I am not doing any work for anybody else's fiction or nonfiction of any kind. Of course, that being said, if one of our very heavily educated science consultants comes to us and goes, I'm doing this little thing, can you throw a voice in there? We'll consider stuff like that. But by and large, my job is to keep hands on the keyboard, keep cranking out stuff. A is a professional audiobook narrator, and we might be getting more into that in the future, but at least for the next year, maybe 2 years, I don't see me doing anything with anybody else's work but ours.
And the books that I narrated by a I hear your voice. You sound like my character. Can we please get her? I do happen to have already had voice training and voice work and that kind of thing. I end up doing more than anything else. Being approached for is phone trees.
Yeah.
Press 1 to reach Scott.
He's done a little work for a Harley Davidson dealership and all kinds of good stuff. It's really cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Harley Davidson, not the dealerships. I was the
Harley
voice
Davidson.
of their motor clothes.
Yeah. See what I'm talking about? A's got a kick-ass voice. So that's something we might be expanding to in the future. But right now we're both very focused. Just putting out the goddamn episode 1 of The Gangster. And we got just slammed with orders for stuff.
Which is great.
A has been full time for 2 days, printing orders, inventory, shipping, all that stuff. So there's a lot of stuff when you're a mom and pop shop business that you think, oh, you guys can do this thing. We do everything in the business. So when anything big hits, we're both overwhelmed with a lot of stuff. So maybe in the future when things calm down.
Yeah, although don't get me wrong, I'm perfectly happy to be shipping during December when I can't leave the house because I get a little sunshine driving to the post office, if nothing else.
Danny Baker should answer Joseph Anderson's question. Didn't 2 football leagues merge to become the National Football League? I believe that was the NFL and the AFL, and in the merger they were still the NFL. That's why you have the National Football Conference and the American Football Conference now. But Danny Baker, people who know football, answer that in the chat room for the man. Go ahead, babe.
Let's see. Sean asked, and Mario, I thought I might have already asked that question. I'm sorry if that was a double question. So I look at these questions every day when I add new ones, so sometimes it gets away from me. Sean Dyer asks, has any part of the COVID experience inspired something Scott plans to or wants to put into a future book or story?
There are several versions of the same story, and I've talked about this in previous SIGLERinPLACE, so I'll try and keep it short. It is the concept of a invasive mind-controlling pathogen coming to our planet in prehistoric times, particularly coming to the North American continent before the arrival of the Europeans. And that, however infectious this thing is, it is mitigated or limited because there's no significant migratory process that goes faster than the incubation period. So if it takes 1 week for this pathogen to reach maturity and do whatever it is going to do, you can only get so far on foot in North America before the Europeans arrived. Even if you're traveling by river or any other format, we just didn't have any no roads, no mass transportation, no airline travel. So in this story, there is something that arrives in the North American continent, and it is a group mind. It is what people lose their individuality and become cells of a group mind. Like we basically become very intelligent ants, where individual life is insignificant compared to the survival of the race as a whole. But in the old days, this invasive pathogen was defeated because the American Indian tribes, I haven't figured out what tribes I would use yet, survived long enough to develop natural immunity to this thing, and then it gets brutal, ugly, and there's a lot of internecine warfare, and they destroy this thing. Flash forward 500, 600, 700 years, it comes back again, except now we have airline travel, we have cargo ships, we can travel across the whole world in a day or so, and now this stuff spreads like wildfire. And in a reverse of how smallpox devastated the American Indian tribes when the Europeans arrived, who were immune to it because it had already gone through their population, and that's what killed more American Indians than anything else. The reverse happens. This alien culture lands. This group mind starts taking over everything, except there's only one spot in the world where there is an indigenous people who have genetic immunity to it, and that happens to be a reservation. So very downtrodden, kicked around reservation, of which we have many in America, winds up, these are the main characters who go on about saving the world. So that COVID has brought that back in a big way in my head, and hopefully I'll get to that someday.
And anybody who, all of you who just started or recently started Fitzroy, as everyone did, you will have hopefully, it's not really a big spoiler, but there is a part of Fitzroy where there is some talk integrating the pandemic that happened in the Infected trilogy.
Yeah.
And listening to it in lockdown for COVID was unreal. And I read it. I knew that was there. I read Pandemic. I knew that was there. Mm-hmm. And yet I'm trucking over to the post office when that comes into my ears, and I'm like, oh, you nailed it. And what was that, 2014 or something? It's crazy.
Yes. Michael, see, we are getting to the crypt in Sigler time very, very soon. Very, very soon. I mean, it's almost like tomorrow, but it's not actually tomorrow. So I don't have a concept of time. That's what A's job is, to track time for us and make sure things get done.
Is there? Oh, that's Tony Stark doing the questions.
Yes.
I was like, what is
questions.
That thing in the corner? I almost
he's
did
got
this.
Questions.
Let's see. Kim had a great question for Scott. Are there any subjects that are particularly hard for you to write about, or you would prefer not to write about?
Not really. When you come out of the gate with Infected, with all the child abuse and the spousal abuse and the cycle of violence, and you're getting into all that stuff, and then the brutal murders that happen in there, there's nothing that I would really shy away from. You're not going to see a lot of pedophilia, if that counts, except in Nocturnal, where the pedophiles get their just desserts, so to speak. So I can't think of anything. There are some subjects now that you have to be careful of from a marketing perspective. When you are, say, if you're Stephen King and you want to write a horribly racist white character who uses every word in the book, that's more understood because he's been doing that for 40 years. So there's like this track record of writing first-person stories from the perspective of incredibly awful human beings. Some of that stuff, that has changed in the past 10 or 15 years. And now if you're a white guy writing those characters, that can cause a lot of problems. And it can also cause some level of pain or trauma in the readership. So that's probably the one area when we do stuff like that, because these people really exist in the world. We see them all the time. And some of these people do really awful things. We see it all the time. So that's the real world I try to bring into the books. There's only so far we will go in those situations, because our goal is to write a taut sci-fi thriller with a lot of sociopolitical commentary, but that's not the actual objective of said book. So that's about it.
Kim asked a matching question for me. My question was, are there any types of books that I would not narrate? And I'm sure there are. I mentioned when Ray was on the cast last week that when I was recording the second audiobook that I recorded, I walked into the studio for a week of work, and Ray walked out of the first one, and Ray walked out of the kitchen and was like, "What? You're here? Let's get you some tea." And he was lovely. Like, I had no idea he was going to be there. He, of course, would never have imagined that I would be there. And he was reading a book, and I will not tell you what it is, that it was a nonfiction book that had the topic was a thing that wasn't in his worldview. and he was frustrated by having to be the voice of that. And so one day at lunch, we were together the whole week, and one day at lunch I was like, well, why then do it? And he's like, well, if I'm honest, there are limits I would have. Like, I guess, and I don't know what those are anymore, but I would imagine like a book written by a pedophiliac maybe would be one of those. I don't know. A pedophile would be one of those. I don't know what they were for him, but he said, but if it is different opinion than mine, but it is not denying somebody's humanity or humanity at large, like a Holocaust denial book is probably something I would opt out of. Things like that. But if it goes against my personal whether I'm a Republican reading a Democrat book or a Democrat reading a Republican book, Ray's point was like, that is not, maybe that's a bad example, but that is not denying somebody's the humanness of it, and that people take jobs that they don't like all the time. And I think I don't know if I just adopted that because I think he's swell or if it made a lot of sense to me. I think it resonated with me. So yeah, there are absolutely books that I would turn down, but that would be sort of the limit.
I thought of one. I can almost guarantee you that in most of the books of mine you will read, the dog's going to live. That's
the dog is going to live.
The dog's going to live, except the horror novel, The Rainbow Bridge. The beloved went over the bridge to puppy heaven, and when they came back, they weren't from heaven anymore. Okay, what's next?
Evan Hammerman asked...
Thank you, Donald Wooldridge.
What is the name of the Ancestor prequel?
The Ancestor... I'm not sure.
I loved that sneaky question.
It's going to have something to do with Clayton Detweiler, because there's nocturnal, then there's diurnal, and it's really hard to come up with something. But
and I think he asked that question because on an earlier Sigler-in-Place, sometime in the last 25 years, that was 2020, you mentioned the Detweiler prequel.
So I don't have a name for that one as of yet. Maria says in the chat room, the crossover characters in Fitzroy are making me want to reread all the other books. So in all caps, your evil plan has worked, Sigler. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's switch over to chat so everybody can see each other doing their thing. Okay, go ahead, babe.
Evan also asked another question, which is relevant to the question I didn't realize, but very relevant to the question I just answered. Where can he find a list of the books that I have narrated? If you look up Casey Alexander, Kace, new word, Alexander, spelled the traditional way. She is she's the author. I've done both of those books for. But you can also go to abkovacs.com, and that will have everything and like sound clips from things that I've done and stuff like that. And of course, I broke into the audiobook business. Actually, I think that was right around then with Alone and Fire is Orange. So those are them for now. Yeah, super cool. So A's got a bunch of stuff up there. All right, let's go back to Chit Chat. Hit me, baby. Ron Butkus asks, what is your favorite question you've ever been asked on a panel? Oh my gosh. It's so many. There's no way I could pick out one question I get asked on a panel. I can tell you what I don't like. Yeah, I figured they would be good that way too. What I don't like is people who use their moment to ask a question on a panel when there are hundreds of people in the room who've come to hear their favorite authors, actors, artists, etc., and watching someone use the question to give a statement about something that they want to get out and will talk for 2 or 3 minutes. When you go to one of these things, there's a lot of people waiting. Question panel should be at tops 15 seconds. Get that question out, more like 10. Walk up to the mic, know what you're going to ask, sit down, let the panel, because people can't see the panel, not the narrators, but I can't think of a particular one. I have to say, Rob just posted in the chat room. What? They say when pets die, they take a piece of your heart with them. Now they're back for the rest. Rainbow Bridge, the new horror thriller by Scott Sigler. If I ever get to write Rainbow Bridge, you guys, you will all disown me for the horrible things that both doggies and kitties do and are done to doggies and kitties. Okay. Next. So Tim Legower, who I think might be in the chat room, might not be, asked a question that I should have realized and asked last week, because it was way better to have Ray here too, but it is, how do you create the voice of a character to begin with? We have quite a process. We're actually going to dedicate a whole episode to this at some point in the future. At this point, I've been doing this for 15 years,
and I try to not reuse character voices, except my male leads all tend to have this kind of that straight Clint Eastwood kind of thing. It's a rut I'm trying to get out of, but everybody else, every other main or secondary character has their own. I try to give them their own unique voice. Well, I went through all the voices I could come up with off the top of my head years and years ago. So now the process usually is I sit down with A and we start calling up YouTube videos of, comedians, politicians, people who are famous in one way or another, and you look for that really unique voice to bring into it. The gangster has been a challenge. The Stone Wolves will be another challenge when we put that out. And then I do an impression of that person, and often my character is me doing an impression of a comedian, doing an impression of somebody who's not funny.
This is somewhere in my list of questions. Kim Hansen asked, "Oh, hey, when I listen to Bumberpuff, I hear Shatner being Kirk."
Yeah.
And did you do that? Did you do that on purpose? And he just explained it. That is exactly what that is. And it's that Scott's interpretation of
John Belushi doing Shatner.
Yeah, and coming through an alien interface too. He has in mind that Bumberpuff is also going to have an alien filter, and he and Steve developed the alien filters, and so it also has to have a unique quality to it. Once all the Quith leaders sound like Quith leaders, all the hurrah sound like hurrah.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do a little Doc Patah?
Young Quentin, I don't understand why you were ignoring your injury. You've clearly pulled a hamstring and should not be sitting in a chair for more than an hour preparing content and then going on the camera and talking to people.
So that has a very light filter on it, but Scott has to develop a way that it's a hurrah and the character. So that's how Bumberpuff ends up so that he's different than Kretzelfinger with the very, very obvious Kirk accent, and or maybe a Walken accent, a Christopher Walken accent would work as well, that kind of thing. But I will also tell you, because Tim asked specifically for the Ray Porter, and I screwed it up, the Ray Porter episode. I will say that week that I spent learning a lot about audiobook recording by having lunch with Ray Porter every day. I asked him that question, and he said one of the other big things that he does is he thinks about the physicality of his self. So if he's got two characters and they are physically similar to each other, say they're both 50-year-old white dudes or whatever, then if he was standing in a conversation with those two characters, he with his eyes closed would be able to tell the difference. So then he he brings his teeth closer together, or he doesn't open his mouth as much, and he does things like that. And that was so incredibly helpful to learn, because it's hard to understand how to do until you actually do it, and then you're like, oh, I can.
I do that with Poughkeepsie Pete in The Rider, who is Val Kilmer in what's the Shoot of the K. Corral movie he does?
Tombstone.
He's in Val Kilmer in Tombstone. So I'll when I do the voice, I'll put a hand on the hip and then pretend I'm swinging a little coffee cup and and that gets into it. Danny Lundy has a great line. Apparently, in one of the books, Greedock calls the dolphin Danny Lundy a legless worm, and Danny Lundy says that contract starting number just doubled. So if you know the GFL, you will find that humorous. All right, we've got a couple minutes left, Sweet Pea. What's the next question?
Let's see. I'm not looking in there, so
okay. Let's go back to the main camera then, closer to that.
Well, I can just.
Chris McWhite says, I happen to love the continuity of Scott Sigler to Ray Porter and how live round is pronounced. I assume that's live sound. It's real important. We do. Steve helps with this sometimes. A and I make clip files of the characters. So we will go through and get maybe 20 seconds to a minute of character dialogue and then save that so that when I go to do GFL, when I do the Stonewalls or GFL 7, for example, it'll have been years since I did these voices. I have to go back and listen to it. And then we do the same thing with these characters we're talking about. Like somebody impersonating James Lipton. We get a bunch of audio from that. And then it's on the desktop. So I'm like, okay, give me that character voice. And she'll give me the character voice, and then I will do the impression. My impressions are not good, but it gives me a unique voice.
Yeah, and what matters is not that they're good; it's that they're consistent.
Yeah,
and that's a big reason to have what he calls those voice buttons that he can call up and listen to. What did you do to your hamstring, Scotticus?
I'm old. I'm old now, and I fell down the stairs. I slipped down a stair and And when I came down, it hurt the leg pretty bad.
Donald Woolridge asks, is there ever going to be an art folio of artwork for the GFL? And the best answer I can give you is maybe. Before the pandemic and before all this trouble trying to get our thing printed, we had loose plans, not at all formalized. They are still not at all formalized, to maybe once the GFL novels are complete, do like an omnibus, a print omnibus, pre-order only of all the novellas and all the inserts.
Yeah.
So that you would end up with all the art, a way to have sort of all the artwork together and usable, so that I know a lot of people don't like to crack the spines on their books to get to the middle of where the color insert is. So the idea, definitely we discuss it a lot. The answer is maybe.
Maybe. We would have to commission new art, because a lot of the art that we do have that's already done is not of a sufficient quality to make a print thing out of it. So we'll see. We've got, okay, what other questions we got here?
Let me call up this.
Emily, I don't know what's up with those guys tumbling on the stairs. I'm sorry. I hope your husband is doing
so.
great.
Actually, we will end on this note, I think, maybe, because we had to go out today. He had to have an X-ray and a doctor's appointment just to make sure we're, keeping up with the injury. And on the way home, we passed an AMC theater. Kim Hansen said, "What do we think the future of movie theaters are?" And Scott and I feel differently. Or we were discussing it.
I think they're screwed. I think if the studios who are now doing first run release to streaming services, if they are able to make the same amount of money, or in the ballpark of the same amount of money that they made in theaters, this shit's over with. It's done. They're not going to bother going back, because you can have, you don't have to do all of this planning and process to roll it out in different countries. Like, it's September 1st. It's available anywhere in the world. And the next day the money starts rolling in. It's completely done.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. I feel like if you look at the progression of how we watch movies, it sort of goes like this, or how we watch proscenium, what I'll call proscenium entertainment, that we are looking through the fourth wall at. And it started with theater. And, of course, many movie theaters, silent movie theaters, were marquee, proscenium stages. And still were. And then as live theater became to be more expensive and a bigger production, like Scott's saying, it's hard to launch live professional theater everywhere because it's very expensive to do it, and the ticket prices are expensive. So that became then HBO, which was exclusive and fun and cool, and Blockbuster, right? And Blockbuster was supposed to kill HBO, but it didn't. But here's my favorite thing. I worked at Blockbuster in college for a long time, and I remember that, I would see people, I was an entertainment specialist, so I wandered the floor and answered questions about movies, which was awesome, but I had to wear an ugly vest. Regardless, people would come in, I would know them. I would get to know them. They would be like, okay, what's next on the Brando list? Because last week we watched this. And that was part of the fun itself. So when Netflix came out, people were like, Netflix is never going to work. And I was like, dude. I have people who come into Blockbuster, literally rent 10 movies one day and come back the next day, trade in 5 of them and get 5 more. Like, they are insane. And if they don't have to get off the couch, they're going to get 2 more movies in.
And
There's no chance it's going to destroy Netflix.
We're also going to start to see a hybrid, which is, people can't all go see the next great MMA fight. Can't go see all the UFC fights, but you can go to a bar and you can enjoy that fight with 50, 60, 70 other people in the bar. So once COVID is under control, if we don't have not all movies will be first run, but you're going to start to see bars and restaurants specialize in, this is the first run of Avengers 5. We got a dinner special, we got drink special, and you'll still get some level of cultural sharing out of it.
Yeah, and we've seen this happen with sort of record stores. Like, I grew up in the era of Tower Records. They were huge. They were everywhere. Their flagship store was in New York, not too far from me, and it was a pilgrimage every Saturday to go with my high school sweetheart and look for new records and stuff like that. And that doesn't exist today. We don't do music that way anymore, but music still exists. So I think also you're going to find, we just started to see it before the pandemic, lots of like Alamo Draft House where you can go have a beer and a burger and whatever. Or here in San Diego, we have a chain called The Lot. And Sinopolis, which are like high end. You go there, you get a seat
That would
side
be
service kind of thing.
CIN, not SIN. Sinopolis, SIN is a whole different experience.
Yeah.
Completely different.
But I do think things like that will survive as a high end entertainment option, just like theater is today. That's what I think.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7 o'clock Pacific time. My butt's killing me. And we are going to sign the F off. You're beautiful. You're all lovely. And now we're going to go into our closing script. And this time, we're not going to screw it up.
I got it. It's okay.
Doesn't have hers. Right? We'll go from this, baby girl. Here you go.
Okay. So we will see you on Thursday, but in the interim or in the outro, whatever, if you have things to tell me, send them to info@emptyset. Pictures of you dressed up for Christmas, pictures of your Christmas dogs and cats, pictures of your Christmas trees, whatever. Just send them my way at info@emptyset.
Yourself in stupid hats and sweaters would also count in that regard. And we will be back. That's Thursday, this coming Thursday. Oh, that's the old, I see now.
Yeah, we'll
be back.
It's the 10th. We'll be back Thursday the 10th.
Thursday
December
the 10th with Superweapon and Evan Diamond in the library. Guitar extraordinaire Severiano Wada, who goes by the name of Sevi. Sevi's going to be on. He's going to play a little bit of live music for us. Hopefully that sound will work out. We don't know. We're going to give it a shot. Hopefully you guys will be entertained.
And you guys know how this goes. Until then, we want you to stay safe.
We want you to stay smart.
We want you to stay science.
And for the love of science, as this giant spike descends upon us like a giant tarantula with rat turds dripping out of its butt, we want you to stay informed and listen to the people who really
We're
know
going to do a
about.
Real shallow, real quick dating game kiss so that you don't lean and pull your hamstring. And he's Bruce Press, he's sitting on ice right now.
Yeah. Ice.
We love you guys. We'll see you Thursday. Stay safe, you guys.
Wait.